Welcome back to the Rowan's podcast. I am the Rowan. Grab yourself a cup of coffee and a comfy chair and let's have a chat. I myself have a brand new coffee cup to add to my collection. Thank you to my wonderful father-in-law, Tim. He got chosen to go on the honor flight to fly into Washington, D.C. It's where they take the military veterans and they take them on the honor flight. They go to Washington, D.C. They go through all the memorials. They do the whole tourism thing. They look around at everything. And it is a very big deal. And on his way back, he bought me a coffee cup that has the honor flight on there. It's blue with white lettering and stuff, and an airplane on there. And it's in my favorite style of coffee cup. I like the oversized coffee cup mugs that look kind of campish, so it's like blue and it has like the little white specks on it with the white lettering on it. I love this coffee cup. This is really cool. So I am very thankful, very proud of him first off, but very thankful that he thought of me and brought home a coffee cup for me. So thank you, Tim. Shout out to Tim. Thank you. I wanted to talk today about dolphining. Now, if you've ever been in a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden you say something to them and all of a sudden, they go quiet a little bit and then they say something just randomly out of the blue that has nothing to do at all with what you're talking about. Ever had that happen? Well, that is, in the ADHD world, that is dolphining. And I guarantee you, it may make it seem like the person is not listening to you, but they are, because they're actively making connections in their brains with what you just said, with what else is going on in their head. And they're making these connections and they deep dive into there. And then when they come up for air, basically, they will ask you a question or make a comment of something that they have connected to what you have just said. Case in point, I want to tell you about a story what happened the other day when I was riding with my husband in the truck, and I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard because, oh my gosh. Okay, so we were talking about his work. He works at a landfill, and he works as an equipment operator, and in those equipments in the cabs, it's just like you're in this big glass box, basically. And when the sun is beating down on you, it gets really hot. And I was talking to him about, I wish that they could have a way that they could block the rays and stuff. I mean, we went through the shading thing. They can't shade it because obviously they have to see and everything. And I'm like, well, just some way to reflect it. And then as I was thinking, my mind went into, kind of like that see-through aluminum that Star Trek has. And then my thought was like, well, Star Trek, there's a lot of advances and stuff and things that Star Trek predicted that we would have in the future that we actually do have now. And I was kind of going through my mind about what that was. And I was thinking to myself, well, and then Jetsons too. The Jetsons had the same thing like Star Trek with the video conferencing kind of thing. And the Jetsons had video phones and things. And I was thinking about that. And then I got to thinking about, they had flying cars. And I thought, well, they have flying cars now. And so this was all going through my head as my husband is still talking to me kind of about how he was getting hot at work from the glass, box basically. And I started to ask him, well, don't we have flying cars nowadays? And I stopped myself just as I started to say it, and I started laughing, and he's like, what? And I said, you're not going to believe this. I just went into dolphin mode, and I was going to ask you if we have flying cars now. Don't we have flying cars now? And he just kind of looked at me, and I said, well, this is how it happened. And I explained to him my process of where I started from and what thought led to what thought led to what thought that led to my comment or my question. And I was laughing so hard, tears were running down my cheeks and stuff. And he was just looking at me like, what? And it was hilarious. Oh, sorry. But this is just but I had to catch myself before I actually said it to him, because I realized as it was starting to come out of my mouth that, man, this is it's way off from where we started at, and he's not going to understand why I'm suddenly, so it was hilarious. So if anybody out there has ever talked to an ADHD person and this has happened to you, where you're talking about one subject and suddenly something else pops up, that is literally what happens. We are listening. We are just making connections in our brains from what you had just said. And if we come up with something off the wall, it's only because we honestly were listening. Just so you know, we are not being rude. We were listening. Thank you for stopping by for a chat. More later. Bye.